Hey you guys, we're back with another video, and for this one I wanted to talk about emotions and how your external reality is not an accurate representation of what your emotions should be. So for me, growing up, I've always been very sensitive to external stimuli, right? As to how people talk to me. I get very emotional if people would say something mean to me, or if they're being insensitive to my needs. And so for the longest time, I've always believed that it's other people's fault as to how I feel, as to how they make me feel. Um, if let's say they're being rude, or they're intentionally trying to piss you off. It's their fault because it's them who is intentionally trying to make you feel certain emotion. Like if someone cuts you off in traffic and they're intentionally doing it, right? Um, in other words, this person is at fault because he's trying to stir up trouble. But then recently, what I've learned was that emotions actually come from within, and it has nothing to do with the outside world. And the easiest way that I can explain this is that you can control basically your experience or your reality and the situations that occur. And so the easiest example of this is think of something that makes you feel like a very warm, fuzzy feeling, right? Like a positive emotion. So like, for example, if you're standing outside in the winter cold and you look into a person's house and you see, warm lights, a fireplace, people, speaking to each other, laughing, having a good time, right? Um, a very warm, fuzzy, homely feel, right? Because you're outside in the cold, where it's the exact opposite, you can kind of compare those two emotions. Whereas they're inside the house, they're having fun, they're warm, they're lots of love, lots of joy, lots of happiness, whereas you are outside alone in the cold. But despite you being in the cold, despite you being outside and not a part of what's happening inside the home, you can still feel this sense of warmth for the people that are inside the home, that are celebrating, that are having a party and enjoying each other's company, right? You can create that feeling, which is what I feel when I see people in a home having fun. I don't Some people have this where they will be like, oh, I'm missing out, I wish I could have that in my life. And so it's interesting because you can have two people looking at the exact same situation, but they're feeling different emotions. And so it's not consistent, right? So it's on one hand, you have this person who's like, wow, that looks really nice. I'm really happy that these people are having fun. And on the other, you have someone who's just like, wow, I wish I had that. I'm missing out, right? So you could kind of say this guy is more positive, this guy's more negative, right? Kind of like optimism versus pessimism. Someone who is grateful and sees the beauty in the world around them versus someone who is negative and only sees um, cynicism. Um, so yeah, that is an example of how we are the ones that create the emotion. It has nothing to do with the external world. And so if you take this example and you can kind of spread it out throughout your entire life, you start to realize that you can actually control how you want to feel in every single situation. And the key word here is how you want to feel, right? Because if there is an event that happens outside of you that is not something that you appreciate, like let's say someone is insulting you, or they're trying to make you angry, or they're being just a pain in the butt to deal with, you don't have to feel frustrated or irritated or angry or whatever, right? You could control how you want to feel in that moment. It's just that I think the reason why people aren't brave enough to do this, and I say the word brave, you'll know why. People aren't brave enough to be able to control their emotion when it comes to any situation, is because they would be labeled as crazy or insane or a psychopath, right? Could you imagine if someone got cut off in traffic, um, and they just started laughing in joy? they're like hilarious. They find it absolutely hilarious. They're just laughing. They're enjoying every moment of it. People will think this person is insane, right? Because, you just got cut off. Someone tried to get ahead of you. You're supposed to react with anger. And so that is the issue in society and with the way we've been taught, right? We have been taught that this is how you should be acting when something happens to you, right? So like if someone is being angry towards you, you should respond with retaliation. And so everyone in society kind of walks around with this belief that if this event occurs to me, then I should react with this kind of emotional state. And if this happens to me, then I should react with another emotional state. So like if something positive happens to me, I should react with happiness. If something negative happens to me, I should react with a negative feeling. But what if we were to change that up, right? So let's say, something positive happens to you, you intentionally make yourself feel negative. Some people do that, right? People who are like suffering from depression or anxiety, or like they're going through a rough time in their life, no matter what happens to them, the external reality, no matter what happens in their external reality, they are the ones that create the experience. And so in that moment, if they're like, having a bad day, they don't want to feel positive. And so they create the emotion, they create a negative emotion, even though something positive is happening to them. And so once you realize this, you can start to understand how any kind of negative emotion or problem that you have in your life actually stems from within. Because you're the one that creates that emotion, regardless of what is happening outside of you. It just depends on what kind of emotion you want to create, what kind of emotion you want to allow yourself to feel in that moment. There's another really good example of this is that let's say you're looking at like a picture of like a cute puppy or rabbit, like a baby puppy or a baby rabbit, right? It's really cute. It's like you look at it, your reaction is probably like, oh, that like warms my heart. Now, if I asked you to take your hand and place it where you feel the emotion arising, you might place it on your heart or your head or even your gut, right? You would most likely place your hand somewhere on your body. Now, my question to you is, why does no one reach their hand out and place it on the photo in front of them? So why does no one like do this and touch the photo that they're looking at? Because the emotion comes from within. You create that emotion from within. The emotion arises from within you. The picture does not create that emotion. The picture is just a picture, right? But we are the ones that create the emotion. It's like if I were to, I don't know, take my phone and show it the picture of a cute puppy or rabbit, the phone is not going to create any kind of emotion. Only we can do that because we are humans. We are the ones that have, a heart. I don't actually know where our emotions stem from, but basically we are the ones that create the emotion. That'd be a good question, actually. How do we create emotions, actually? Where do they stem from? But anyway, that's a topic for another video. Point is, emotions come from within. We are the ones that create it, and nothing outside of us actually creates that emotion. And so once you realize this aspect, you start to realize just kind of how silly or how ridiculous it is that you get upset over things in your life. Because it's just like, well, on one hand, do I enjoy feeling angry? Do I enjoy feeling disappointed? Do I enjoy feeling like I am isolated from everyone around me? And if the answer is yes, then you can keep continuing to produce those emotions throughout your everyday life. But then if you want things to change, if you no longer want to feel like you're isolated, you no longer want to feel like you're angry all the time at the world, you no longer want to feel these negative emotions that are weighing you down and don't serve you in your life, then it's just as simple as realizing that, oh, I can change them whenever I want. All I need to do is tell myself, I will now feel happy, or I will now feel joy, or I will now start laughing. Not because I'm insane, but because I don't need a reason to feel happy, right? I don't need a reason from my external reality to dictate how I should be feeling in every moment. If I want to feel happy all the time, then I should feel happy all the time. That is me. And then there's a sense of like, it's like a combination of like, I'd say accomplishment and joy, like in inner knowing, in knowing that you are the one that creates that emotion, and nothing external outside of you does. And so that's a very powerful way for you to like basically live your life the way you want to, enjoy in every single moment. Because you can't say that. A lot of people can't say that, right? They can't say that I am the one that creates my own emotional state, regardless of whatever happens in my reality. Most of them are slaves to their emotions. They are slaves to the external reality. They are slaves to reacting to the actions or the words of others, right? Like you see this with like, YouTube comments. Some people will post like mean comments, making fun of someone on YouTube, like saying like this person is ugly, or like this person's ideals suck ass, or they'll like try to challenge the person's video. And then sometimes some of the creators on YouTube, they like react with anger, or they react with negative emotions. And so they're allowing this silly person, who is just probably someone they'll never meet in their entire life, to affect how they feel simply because of a comment, right? And so why this is silly is because you're allowing one comment, which you'll probably forget about the next day. You're letting one comment affect the quality of your life, right? You're allowing someone else to basically make themselves superior to you by saying, I have no self-control over my own emotions. I am a slave to this person, and if this person wants to make me feel bad, then I will allow them. It's not that they are making you feel bad. It's that you allow them to make you feel that way, which is really stupid. Because as you may know, 99% of the human population is dumb, really dumb. And so you are basically allowing an inferior creature, if you see them as dumb, right? It's like you are allowing a fly, which is considered an inferior creature to a human, to make you feel a certain emotion, right? It's like if a fly continually buzzes around your face, right, you're going to feel irritated. Well, you're letting this lower organism determine how you should feel. Basically, you're basically saying that like the fly is better than you are because it can control how you feel. Instead of saying, I am superior, I am powerful, I am in control of my own life, right? I'm sovereign. And I'm the one that dictates how I should feel in every single moment, right? That is power. Being able to say, I don't want to do X, I want to do Y, right? You have choice, you have freedom. That is power. But if you are always reacting to what other people are doing or saying or whatever, then you are not in control. You don't have power. You don't have your freedom. You're just a slave. And so there are these two dynamics always at play, right? Which is, do you want to be a slave, or do you want freedom and your power back? If you want freedom and your power back, then you need to take responsibility and realize that no matter what happens outside of you, you are the one that can control how you want to feel in that moment. You're the one that controls your reality. And as a result, when you are the one that controls your reality, you are the one that determines how powerful you truly are. And that manifests itself in like other ways, right? For example, like finances or relationships, or basically, the quality of your life. You are the one that determines that based on your emotions. But if you don't have control of your emotions, if you're always reacting to what's happening outside of you, there is no way that you'll be able to manifest those things into your life, the things that you want. Because again, you are just, if life wants you to go left, you're going to go left. Life wants you to go right, you're going to go right. You're going to do whatever everyone else wants you to do. And guess what? Everyone else does not want you to succeed, right? They don't want you to succeed. They're jealous. They don't want to see you succeed. The only one who wants to see you succeed are your loved ones and yourself. You are the one that creates your life. You are the one that determines and is able to know exactly what it is from life that you want. Other people do not know that, right? They think they know, but they don't. And so it's up to you to determine what your emotional state is, and by being able to do that, regardless of what happens outside of you, you will then be able to create the life you want. Because you are in control, you are powerful, you have choice, and you have freedom. Whereas everyone else around you is still stuck in the mindset of being a victim and blaming everything else around them, which is why they only experience those situations more and more in their life. So yeah, that's basically what I want to say with this video. Feelings come from within, not outside of you. It's something to keep in mind, which is why in like spirituality, they say the most powerful emotion is the emotion of not reacting at all, right? So there's a funny story about this where Buddha was once meditating and speaking to his a circle of his students, right, that surrounded him. And then all of a sudden, someone from the crowd walked up to Buddha and cleared his throat and spat directly in his face. But then Buddha, being as enlightened as he was, simply just smiled back and did nothing in retaliation, despite everyone around him, all his students reacting with anger and, you know, like basically making death threats to the man that had just spit into his face. Well, why is this, right? It's because Buddha was in control of his emotions. He understood that no matter what happened outside of him, it did not determine his inner state. And that is power. That is the power, right? Because it's like, this person is trying to make me angry by spitting in my face. I do not allow him to make me angry, and so I decide that I want to be happy as a means of as a means of retaliation, right? You could retaliate with anger, you could punch the guy in the face, or you could retaliate by simply, you know, continuing to be happy and enjoy and loving life. That is one way, right? I think it's like the best way to exact revenge on someone is to succeed, right? Instead of knocking them down, just build yourself up. And then in like 5, 10, or 15 years, when you're at the top and they're at the bottom, and then they're looking up at you, they're going to feel the sense of like unworthiness, or like the sense of like, what's that word? As though they're lower than you are, because you've been focusing on raising yourself, you've been focusing on building yourself up, whereas they've been only focusing on knocking others down. And so they've never actually done the work to try to make themselves a better person. And so in the end, who wins, right? The person who is always trying to be happy, or the person who is always stuck in the state of negativity and trying to make others feel the same way that they do. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. I hope it helps you to understand how emotions actually come from within and how the external reality is actually just an illusion. It took me quite a long time to actually understand this, because for the longest time, again, I've always blamed people outside of me for what happens. And so yeah, it's something that I've recently come to kind of understand better, and something I'm working on. So yeah, hopefully it helps you out in your daily life as well. Let me know in the comments what other videos you'd like to see. And I'll see you in the next video. That's it for this one. Have a wonderful day. I love you all, and peace out.